All right, you bastards. Wednesday, June 27th, Sports Bit. Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy, SBR Picks. I'm at Rio Sports Bit. He's at Teddy underscore covers. LA Rams today. What a story. Last season, the worst offense to the best offense. What a job McVay did. Made it to the playoffs. We'll preview the Rams. We'll get to the shot clock play of the day before we get out of here. And we'll run through Brazil, Serbia, Costa Rica, and Switzerland coming up as well. With the two matches remaining in the World Cup. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. The great World Cup continues with the late goals. Bad beat, Argentina under 2.5. They score in the 86th minute. Maradona loved that, although he's later taken to the hospital. They win 2-1 and they advance. Nigeria with the plus, what was it, plus 350 with the draw. You just got to hang on for another 5-6 minutes and they would have advanced, but they give up a goal late. Same thing with Croatia and Iceland. Draw was plus 230. A goal in the 90th minute. They win 2-1. Iceland goes home. Croatia's 3-0 so far in the tournament. They move on. Some late goal heroics again in the World Cup. And good for the books because no one bets the draw.
Exactly. No one bets the draw. Certainly not in Vegas. You talk about who's betting the draw. It's the syndicates who are more likely to get involved with that particular wager than individual bettors. Certainly not here in town. And there's such a difference when we talk about the World Cup between Las Vegas and the rest of the world. You know, globally, this is the biggest betting event there is. Here in Vegas, you know, there's action and there's a fair bit of action, but it's not like a football weekend, let alone baseball season. You know, nothing's going on for the books to get pounded out in baseball season. But when it comes to these particular games, Pauly, we got to talk matches, I should say. We have to talk about the fact that the same thing keeps happening. The unders are getting killed in the 86th minute, in the 90th minute, in the 93rd minute, in the 95th minute. Under bettors have taken some really, really tough beats in this World Cup, including a couple yesterday with those late goals.
We're up to 22 PKs, already a record. It was a record a couple days ago. I think we're at 14 second-half stoppage time goals, most since 1966. It's been wild and fascinating World Cup so far. Bad for the books. Diamondbacks under 8.5 down to 8. They get sided. 5-3 final. Seattle-Baltimore under 8.5 down to 8. 3-2 final. Paxton pitched well again. Giants took money with Derek Hall, and that was anti-Colorado. They win 3-2. Brewers 8.5 down to 8. They win 5-1. Peralta was a huge favorite. And this was a bad result for the books. They kept pounding this. But it was also, I'll explain this in a second, Denmark-France, our first 0-0 so far. And at Ladbrokes, the markets had this a 40-1 shot. The prop, would there be a goal in every match in the group stage game? And they admitted they got caught with their pants down and put up a bad line. So they were down to about, 11 to 12 matches left. They finally get the 0-0. That would have been over a £5 million loss for the books in London as they put up a bad number, but they finally get the 0-0 draw with France and Denmark. And most people saw that coming. I know the fans were booing, but once Peru got that early goal, you knew France and Denmark were going to play patty cake.
And that's exactly what they did. Let's talk about these baseball totals because, you know, D-backs under steam cashes. Seattle-Baltimore under steam cashes. The Brewers under steam cashes. You're going to see throughout the course of the MLB campaign some pretty good runs from total bettors. And the syndicates at times, they really get going with these MLB totals. Certainly we've seen a fair bit of that in recent days where the sharp money on the totals been pretty darn good, especially some of these unders. But we talk about what that means, these bets coming in on the unders and the lines moving half a run or the like. Compared to an NFL Sunday, this is peanuts. Nonetheless, it was bad for the books. They lost all of those decisions, especially the books that cater to the wise guys.
Rangers $1.02 up to 133. They got beat by the Friars at home. Angels took money 177 down to 150, and they were routed 9-1. That bet didn't make a lot of sense. And how about the Oakland A's, who are now the second, trying to hold off for that, chase that second wild card? They're 7 back of the Mariners as the Angels continue to fall off, and the Red Sox stay red hot. All right, big game breakdown. The two matches left at 11 o'clock Pacific. Serbia-Brazil. Brazil minus 220. Draws Serbia 6-1. Draw plus 340. Total is 2.5. And Switzerland against Costa Rica. Look at this. I thought Switzerland was a gift. People agree. It's as high as a 65-cent move. They opened $1.30 at William Hill. The Swiss up to $1.90 at William Hill and higher in other spots. Costa Rica, one of the worst teams in the tournament. They've yet to score 5-1, draw plus 210, and the total is 2. Group E standings, Brazil 4 points, Switzerland 4 points, Serbia 3 points, Costa Rica already eliminated. Your scenarios here, Brazil advances with a win or a draw. They win the group with a win, either a Switzerland draw or loss to Costa Rica, or by winning the tiebreaker at 7 points. Also wins the group with a draw and a Switzerland loss or draw. Can also advance with a loss, but only if Switzerland also loses and they win the tiebreaker. If it were come down to it, Brazil has a slight edge over Switzerland at 3 yellow cards versus 4. That's something to watch, too, going into the knockout stage with these guys with the yellow cards with Brazil. Switzerland advances with a win or a draw against Costa Rica, can win the group by winning and having Brazil draw, lose, or by making up the goal differential. Can also advance with a loss combined with a Brazil loss and winning the tiebreaker. Serbia advances with a win, also can advance with a draw and a Switzerland loss, though they would have to make up the tiebreaker disadvantage. Would either need a Swiss loss by 2 or more goals, or they have a high-scoring draw that moves them ahead in goals scored. They do a great job on the broadcast pointing all this stuff out. I know it's convoluted, but you see the hijinks the last 2 days with these 11 o'clock Pacific matches as Nigeria was moving on and they give up a goal in the 86th minute. Iceland was close. They had so many opportunities and then what happened with Portugal-Iran, where you thought Portugal was going to win the group, and then they were almost eliminated because Spain scored in the 91st minute, and Iran had a great opportunity after the PK in the 93rd minute, and they almost went on. But to me, I agree with the money on Switzerland, as Costa Rica stinks, and they should be able to take them out. They just have to win here, and it's a big move. And how big was that comeback when they were down 1-0 against Serbia and also got a goal in stoppage time to win 2-1?
Yeah, certainly. Okay, we talk about the 2 matches. Serbia against Brazil today. Brazil, the hype, obviously, with Neymar. Serbia's been pretty good, and certainly not a team that I think Brazil is going to walk over to the extent of minus 220 in that ball game. That ball game. I keep saying ball game instead of match. I don't have the World Cup terminology. I'm not a natural, a World Cup better, but certainly the points you're making about Switzerland and the struggles that Costa Rica's had in this tournament makes a whole lot of sense. Not surprised at all that the Swiss have been bet up. Now, from 130 to 190, that's a pretty significant move. Shaqiri looking to have another big day for the Swiss as they take on. Is Costa Rica the worst team? I was rooting for them, but they're probably the worst team in the World Cup. Of course, this show filmed and produced every day in Costa Rica with our friends at sportsbookreview.com.
This is convoluted as well, but when they take the pitch, they'll know who already won the other group with Mexico's group. So that's something to look. I mean, imagine as we tape this early on the morning in Las Vegas, if I'm Brazil, I don't want to see Germany. They embarrassed them 7-1 4 years ago on home at their home. So I think that'd be something. Do I really want to win the group if I have to take on Germany? So watch how that plays out in the second half. If that's how it falls, I'd rather see Mexico or Sweden as opposed to Germany, although it beats getting eliminated. But that's something to look at in the second half. These matches are close. If you want to get in play and bet some unders, or that's something to look at as well. All right, we'll play of the day coming from this as well, a Nigel Seeley special that's already moved big time. We'll get to that coming up. Deep dive, the LA Rams. What a story last year. Win total is 10. 11-5 last year straight up, 9-7 against the spread, 10-5-1 to the over. They were +7 in the turnover differential. That was good for 9th in the league. Football Outsiders. What a job McVay did to turn around that offense. And with Goff, Fisher should never get a job again. Horrible job what they had. Look at what Keenum did with the Vikings as well. 5th in offense, according to Football Outsiders, and number 8 in defense. They were 3rd against the pass, and they had the 2nd best special teams, although that's why they lost their playoff game, because they handed the Falcons 14 points in the playoff loss at home in the opening round, and they got beat. So 11-5, but they are playing fantasy football, Teddy. They acquire Talib in a trade. They acquire Peters in a trade. They get Cooks in a trade. They pick up Sue. Quinn's gone. Watkins is gone. So they are bringing in some big-name free agents here, especially on defense.
When a team goes from being perennial losers And the Rams were losers for a long time under Jeff Fisher. And again and repeated. They went 4-12 in 2016. And then they go to 11-5 and have a breakout season. And, defense is good. Offense is tremendous. Top caliber statistics all over the place. Blowing teams out, putting up points in bunches. When a team has that type of transition, they're supposed to be point spread monsters. You're supposed to be betting on the Rams every week and cash a ticket with the Rams every week. It's certainly what happened when the Rams were the greatest show on turf back in '99, where the first 10 weeks of the season, you bet on the Rams, you cash every time, or almost every time. Yet last year's Rams team went 9-7 ATS. Good, not great. We'll call it mediocre. They were not a point spread juggernaut, despite all of the success that they had from being a last place team. Why? The markets weren't sleeping on this squad. Not even a little bit. And that's once again the case this year. You talked about all the talent that they brought in. And again, big names, former Pro Bowlers, Peters and Talib in the secondary. Let's not forget Ndamukong Suh on the defensive line joining some guy named Aaron Donald, the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Their secondary is loaded. Their defensive line is loaded. You got McVay back. You have Wade Phillips back on the defensive side of the football. But on the offensive side, well, you've lost the offense coordinator, Matt LaFleur. You've lost the QB coach, Greg Olson. This year, new offense coordinator, Shane Waldron. New QB coach, Zach Taylor. The one thing I do like about that duo, Pauly, they were promoted from within. McVay's bringing up his guys, and that means they already have familiarity with Goff, familiarity with the offense that they're going to be asked to design and run this season.
The offense can get better, and that's scary because they led the league in points per game last year, almost 30 points per game, but they struggled in the red zone. That's something McVay has to work on, and he's focused on that. They were 17th in red zone scoring. Cooks can stretch the field, won't help in the red zone, but Gurley had a great season as well. So if they can fix those red zone issues, sky's the limit, because the defense should be better on paper. And if they now score touchdowns instead of field goals, watch out. I don't really care for, I don't have much to say about what they did in the draft. Nothing sticks out to me there. And as far as the schedule, the NFC West plays the NFC North, and the AFC West, 2 extra games at New Orleans and Philly. As we've talked about many times here with our team previews, the great thing about the NFC, well, there's no value, number one. But number two, all these teams play each other, as the Vegas odds are hideous with to win the NFC. But all these teams play each other. As you see, they go up against the Saints again, and they took them out last year. They play the Vikings again. They got destroyed on the road. They also take on Philly, who they got beat by at home last year when Wentz got hurt. All these teams play each other. This will be a great watch in the NFC this year.
No question. You talk about Philly and New Orleans and the Rams. You can go on and on down the line, and they're all Minnesota. They're all Green Bay. They're all battling each other week in, week out. NFC race is going to be pretty fun. AFC race, not so many contenders on paper, at least coming into the season. You talked about the draft. Look, this was their draft. They got Brandon Cooks. They got Marcus Peters. They got Aqib Talib. They traded away, they used their the draft picks as trade fodder. And again, the guys you bring in, third rounder Joel Noteboom, the fourth rounder Brian Allen, the fourth rounder John Franklin Myers, the top draft choices, working on the trenches. There is a legit weakness on this squad. On the defensive side of the football, when you grade out the LA Rams, their linebacking core is no good. And it is notably weak. It is also a very shallow talent pool there. So if injuries strike the linebacking core, they could be in trouble. But if the secondary lives up to expectations, Peters and Talib have a lot of baggage. They also have a lot of talent. If they do what they're supposed to do and play like number one corners, and the pass rush is there like it's supposed to be, the linebacking weakness may not be a problem. This team has Super Bowl or bust written all over them. They spent the entire offseason making moves to win the Super Bowl this year. They mortgaged their future. They gave away their draft. They brought in impact players. So make no mistake about it. The Rams are going for it. They're lined at 10 wins, and they deserve to be lined at 10 wins. You talked about the schedule, the NFC West versus the NFC North and AFC West, those 2 extra games, Saints and Philly. That is a tougher than average schedule overall, but it ranks exactly the same as what the Rams faced last year in terms of toughness. Last year, of course, they won 11 games.
Should go 5-1 in the division. With Seattle looks horrible on paper. We'll get to them at the end of the week. And the 49ers are only lined at 8.5. Jimmy G's never lost a game and beat a couple playoff teams last year down the stretch. But they are better than San Francisco on paper. Money time. Play of the day. Let's go Nigel Seeley's special here. This is moved big time. He likes the bookings over 4.5 in the Brazil match. It opened 3.5 at William Hill. Bet up to 4.5 is now plus money, which he recommended anyways because it was over 3.5 minus, I think it was 150. So he hit it in the Argentina game as he got a late yellow card in the 93rd minute. Bookings over 4.5 in the Brazil match coming up. That's the play of the day. Anything on the chat?
Yeah. We got the chat and we got a shot clock. Certainly we got a bunch of stuff. Let's see. Allow me to see. Betting unders is risky with the added time. The PK bets have cashed big time.
Is.
Of course, we can talk. Yeah, that's what we've been talking about here on SportsBet for the last week and a half. Overs, the way to look more than unders. Lewis Jefferson saying that late goal of Argentina killed him yesterday. What do you think of that late goal, Pauly?
Hell of a goal. I know Maradona loved it with the double finger, but that I didn't want to see him advance. And we had Nigeria. I had Nigeria on a draw in pocket, so that killed me. I wanted the plus 350 there, and I don't like Argentina. Killer.
Rob Job says, guys, I'm in Vegas playing poker. When can I get a drink with you guys? I hear Pauly can do 9 shots. Can you do 9 shots, Pauly?
No, I can't. That was on accident. I don't remember it, and I won't be seeing you. I have to get up at I have to go to bed at 8:00 at night, so I get a different schedule.
Exactly. I would love to come out and party. Unfortunately, this isn't the right type of season. We have Ken Peacock like Switzerland -1. Astro Liberta likes Costa Rica under 2.5. John Hagan says, could the United States please stop shoving soccer down our throat, especially they didn't even qualify for the 2018 World Cup? Is the U.S. really shoving soccer down anybody's throat?
I don't understand. I don't understand what he's talking about. It's huge. You can't ignore that. If you don't want to watch it, don't turn it on. But it's a slow time of year, and people go crazy for the World Cup. It's the biggest thing. It dwarfs the Super Bowl. It's not even close. So in terms of the interest worldwide, it destroys the Super Bowl. People go crazy for it. And how about out here? They take more action on Mexico games than USA because we're so bad. We lost to Panama, for Christ's sake. All right, turn the shot clock on. I think it's been one of the best World Cups I can remember. All these stoppage time goals, again, the most since 1966. We've already set a record for most PKs. Most own goals, already set a record there. So the fantastic finishes and how much money is changing hands with these crazy swings at the end, with these goals late, put it over, or teams cashing tickets, draw, whatever it may be. It's been a dynamite start. And I'll tell you what, this is also, I'm not a hardcore soccer guy. I can't remember the last time it's been this wide open. There's like 10 teams that could win this thing. And I know Nigel gave out Croatia a couple months ago at 55-1. He's alive and well with that ticket.
So, Paul, you like the World Cup, and I understand you're kind of a soccer fan. Certainly once every 4 years is a good thing. I don't like this World Cup. I don't think it's been that exciting, and especially because I was rooting for Costa Rica. I wanted them to get a goal or a point or something. It's soccer, all right? You're not going to get me loving soccer in a way like I love football or love basketball or can't turn it off or any of that. Yes, there have been some dramatic finishes, but that also tells us that the best team's not win. When you have these crazy finishes and all these extra time goals and the PK goals, it's not the best team winning. My vote, no. This World Cup has not been great. I'm not yet compelled. We'll see if it gets better in the next round.
All right. You're old, and you have to join us here in 2018 because I got news for you. Baseball stinks, and nobody cares. The ratings are horrible, and it's a regional sport. And the younger demographic doesn't give two shits about baseball, too. So that's something we shouldn't spend any time on, too. Then let's get to preseason football in August. All right, tomorrow we have an exciting interview. We'll play back. We got an interview on the show tomorrow. We'll also preview the San Francisco 49ers, nonstop 49ers money. We'll go over Jimmy Garoppolo and their offseason as well, and more Soccer World Cup coming up. 2 shows left, then we go on vacation, and we're back August 1st. For the Hall of Fame game, August 2nd, for the Ravens and the Bears. Can't wait. Thanks to the staff. Thanks to the crew. SportsBet, betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.